Nintendo, typically the first thing you think about is the heroic mascot Mario. Good guy plumber with a fancy stash, saving the kingdom over and over. And you know, Mario's seen his fair share of other adventures as well. Do you remember the time he went kart racing with all of his buddies? Ooh, or what about the time he had a big party? Now, do you remember the time he went on a gun-fueled rampage shooting everything in sight?
Yoshi Safari for the Super Nintendo is not your typical Mario or Yoshi game. The king and prince of the neighboring kingdom of Jewelry Land have gone missing, along with the royal treasure of 12 gems, seemingly thrown into the story for no reason whatsoever and are of questionable significance other than to serve as an unnecessary explanation of why the game has 12 levels. And Princess Peach has called on Mario to save them. Naturally, he runs headlong into the adventure with little hesitation. Well, I guess Yoshi does the running, but you know what I mean. The game is a rail shooter through and through. Yoshi runs on a set path while you, in the role of Mario, blast away at Goombas, paratroopers, boos, and other enemies from the Mario universe. Graphically, this game is okay. It uses some decently bright colors here and there, and some of the stages have some nice looking backgrounds you can see off in the distance. There's some Mode 7 at work here on the floors, not unlike what you'd find in games like Super Mario Kart or F-Zero. You can't talk about a Super Scope game without talking about the peripheral itself. The design is actually pretty cool. I like it. It's got this scope attachment that can go on either the left or the right side based on if you're left or right-handed. It has a nice mount piece that's concave and feels comfortable resting on your shoulder. To use it, you need to plug the receiver piece into the second player control port. Though the Super Scope is a cool little peripheral, it's not without its design flaws. For starters, there's not really a true trigger button. Rather, there's a cursor button on the back side of the handle. You'd think that this would be the logical button to use for shooting, but no. The shoot button is on top of the gun itself. This can be quite awkward and can really wear your hand out in just a minute or two. Luckily, there's a turbo fire mode that you'll get friendly with real quick. The gun takes 6 AA batteries, but from what I can tell, they hold up pretty well. Not that I'd ever imagine using it for an extended period of time, mainly because only a handful of games support it as a control option. Now back to Yoshi and his Safari. Or should it be called Mario Safari? Hell, they could have just called it Super Mario Shooty Shoot. I don't know. As mentioned before, there's a total of 12 stages. These stages take on somewhat familiar themes that you might see in about any other Mario game. There's your standard grassland area, a sandy desert, and the obligatory spooky ghost house to name a few. There's one level where you get to go into the water and blast away at Cheep Cheeps and bloopers. Though if you get knocked into the water anywhere else, you'll lose some life and get put back on the walking path. The levels are pretty short, taking you anywhere from 3 to 6 minutes on average to get to the boss. The bosses, as you might imagine, take the form of the Koopa Kids and other mainstay baddies from the franchise. Wait, you're telling me that Bowser and his cronies are the root of the trouble in a Mario game? The bosses aren't terribly difficult, and for the most part you can use the same strategies for all of them. I use the word strategy loosely. You have to shoot their guns to destroy them, while shooting the green projectiles they fire at you. Once their primary guns are taken out, they usually pop out of their vehicle momentarily to try to throw something at you or make a face. While still taking out the enemy projectiles, you want to target the baddie until they surrender. I like the design of the bosses, and it's cool seeing familiar enemies in these mech-style vehicles. One boss fight I found especially neat was the fight against Wendy Koopa. She pops out of one of the 4 pipes on the screen to throw a bomb at you. Meanwhile, for whatever reason, there's a Bullet Bill-style anvil flying in the sky. Nothing weird about that. When the anvil aligns with the pipe that Wendy happens to be popping out of, you can shoot the anvil and it'll fall on her head. The music in Yoshi Safari isn't all that great. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not terrible and all the songs do an acceptable job complementing the theme of each level, but there's nothing here that will likely stick with you. So you beat the first 7 levels and you rescue the king of Jewelry Land.
Thank you so much for rescuing me, Mario, but my son, the prince, is still missing. Please venture into the underworld to find him.
I like how he thanks Mario, but Yoshi did have to work. It's gotta be tiring running all over the place with a fat plumber on your back, especially when his aim sucks and he shoots you in the back of the head. Ooh, sorry, Yoshi. Wow, Mario really does treat Yoshi like crap, doesn't he? Look how proud of himself he is. Dude, Mario, what the hell, man? Anyway, after that you head down to the underworld and there's some more levels to play through. To select your stage, you shoot at one of the number icons on the map screen. I think the idea here is you can go in any order, though I just go numerical because I'm not a savage. After you beat the first 11 stages, the mist clears and it's time for level 12. As expected, it's a Bowser level and it's fiery. Toward the end of the level, the game has you face off against strong enemies, almost like a mini boss rush. You'll mow down Hammer Brothers, Boomerang Brothers, and Fire Snakes, getting a full health upgrade in between each fight should you need it. Then it's on to the big boss man himself. Like most of the bosses, Bowser isn't too bad to take down. One thing to be mindful of though is his stomach cannon. You need to start shooting at it as soon as his hatch opens to stop it from firing. If you don't pop off enough hits in time, it'll take a quarter of your health in one shot. After beating him, he'll surrender and he'll give you the prince. Naturally, he thanks Mario, but not Yoshi. Look at him. He's seriously contemplating killing Mario in his sleep. Overall, Yoshi's Safari is an alright game. It's doubtful it'll show up on anyone's top 10 list or anything, but it's pretty fun for a short playthrough here and there. It holds some of the Mario charm while providing a somewhat cheap budget title kind of feel. Still though, if you own a Super Scope, I'd say it's worth picking up because you might as well have a somewhat decent game to go with the peripheral.
Well guys, that's Yoshi's Safari. It's not the best game, but it definitely deserves an odd footnote in Mario's history, among the likes of Mario is Missing and Mario Teaches Typing. And furthermore... What the hell?
Yoshi!
Hey Yoshi, what's going on, man? No, it's not what you think. I'm not really Mario.